Now I know you're wondering, dang man, how is he able to do this podcast stuff like he's doing it? He's got it everywhere. Well, if you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, it's the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Now hear me out, let me explain. Anchor has the tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. When hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And best of all, Anchor is totally free. Now download the Anchor app or go to Anchor FM to get started. Again, you can either download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Now, I'll have you know that the Main Cast podcast is a safe space. It's a space where love is love no matter what. However, once we get to interracial dating, there's things that you gotta consider. Welcome to another edition of Memphis' Finest Podcast, the Main Cast Podcast. I'm your esteemed host, Professor Christopher, here again to speak on an idea that I had for this particular topic. But before we get into it, you know I always love to show gratitude. Thank you. Thank you for hitting play. Thank you for tuning in for yet another epilecture. I am excited to have you here. The analytics are showing that this podcast is doing great. It's doing great for a small podcast. Well, it's doing great in my opinion anyway, because I have a high level of confidence about it. It's going to continue to grow. I'm going to continue to do it. And everything's going to continue to be copacetic, right? So now, let's get into what we all came to have a discussion about. Interracial dating. Again, like I said, love is love, okay? It doesn't matter who you loving. Well, let me take that back. It matters who you love, okay? But I mean, as long as it's within legal parameters, right? But as far as, being gay, straight, bi, trisexual, or omnisexual, whatever it is that you are, okay? Love is love. Love is love. Figure out what it is for you, right? So in this particular case, like I said, we're going to be covering interracial dating. Now, I am an African American male, a black guy, a Negro, right? So, I can only speak for my dynamic towards myself and other color women, right? Other women who are outside of the African American persuasion. So we're talking about, different demographics here. So I don't get ethnicity and race mixed up. We just gonna, utilize the different group names, okay? Just so we don't make any mistakes here, right? So, again, African American male, right? 6'3", 250-pound black man. Rather handsome, a dashing young man, That typically means that I could get views by not only African American women, but the Latinas, the Filipinas, the Asian persuasion. I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry. Anybody. The Caucasian women. Like, I am subject to views from these particular individuals, right? And by me being a tall, striking, dashing young man, these women could be receptive to any kind of approach that I would necessarily decide to make, right? So, if I was to, take a little ride on the wild side, if I was to make the decision to date a woman outside of the diaspora, then of course, with love being love, that's my prerogative. But by me having this prerogative, there's responsibilities that go along with it, right? I have to be responsible for the access that I'm granting these women who have grown up outside of the African American experience. I know as a tall African American male who is quite handsome and dashing, that I am still prone to being used in a weird way, especially once we get outside of the color lines, right? And what I mean by that is you have to be careful, because things happen, adult situations happen, and let's just say these situations happen and a child was born, right? Just because that child is being carried doesn't necessarily mean that this lady enjoys who I am as a man, as a human, as a potential father. I could have been the means to an end. She wanted to have a mixed race baby. Any Negro would have did. And I happened to be the dummy to fall for it, right? Didn't do my research. Didn't ask pertinent questions. Didn't make any kind of observations of her life or how she was living. So now I'm stuck. She doesn't particularly like black people, but that's the cross that I would have to bear because I didn't do my due diligence. Or let's just say I get with a lady outside of the color lines, right? She loves black men, but she loathes black women. And the fact that she's with a black man means that she is taking a valuable resource from a woman, a genre of woman who she cannot stand. I am officially an enabler. I'm enabling her to feel as if she is superior to someone else, someone she's never met. I did that because I granted her access to me. Or this particular person could just be with me to spite her parents. This is another situation where any black person would have did. I just so happened to get caught in the crossfire. She's making a rebellious stand. Her parents or her grandparents, she could be coming from a racist environment where the racism was heavier towards the African American community. She's already possibly the black sheep of her family anyway. So now here I come. All tall and black, handsome, dashing. Now I'm caught up in family warfare. She doesn't like me necessarily. Well, she likes me enough to use me, to get her ideologies off or whatever, right? In none of these situations am I, appreciated as a human, as a man, as a dashing young man with a lot of goals and aspirations, a scholar, a big dog. I'm just a black man, an end to a mean, right? Or, you could get with these other color ladies and you are their gateway into blackness, right? It's a thing. Especially if this young lady was Negro adjacent most of her life. And what I mean by this is she went to school with us. She broke bread with us. She did all kinds of activities with black folks, right? She's been what people could potentially say she's been hood adjacent all her life, right? So her just getting with it, a black guy, any black guy, is the final step that she would need to take to assimilate into blackness, or so she would think. Her vernacular is spicy. She dresses spicy, She might be a little thicker, a little bit thicker on the body scale, right? And all of this just to go along with the color scheme, the performative act. She now has a black man, so guess what? So now she's having black babies. And now she also feels as if she has an N-word pass. Oh, yes. Yes, Lord. She feels like she has a pass to let it go. To giggle at N-word jokes, When people get to talking about niggas ain't shit, what's she doing? Laughing and agreeing. Because she feels validated. She has the permission to do so because I gave it to her. Because I didn't do what I needed to do to make sure that everything was on the up and up, right? Interracial dating is kind of a wild topic, right? Because a lot of times bros don't think this hard about it. They just, she's a baddie. She might just happen to be a different race. But, I can look past it. Plus she thick or whatever it is that she's got, right? There's no real thought that's put into it. They're just doing it. And then things happen. They end up saying something really cornballish, which is a thing. They compare their other color queen, who by all means could potentially be normal, right? She's a normal person. She doesn't have any of those weird things going on that kind of makes her a red flag as far as interracial dating is going, right? So now the bozo has gotten on social media or whatever it is that people do, TikTok, any kind of thing. So, they're comparing their other color lady to their experiences with black women. It is never a positive. Nothing positive has ever come out of these kinds of things. So now they're getting their other color queen attacked. She has done nothing. And that happens. Or what happens is brothers, of course, like I said, we're on the theme of not thinking. They pillow talk with their other color queen. And what do? they validate her while bringing down the home team. And what does she do? When she's giving her man compliments, saying she has the most handsome, the most outgoing, the most dashing man in the world, she is repeating the things that he said in their intimate moments. So now as a unit, both of you look weird, right? You look foolish. And it's all because when you step outside of outside of your demographic, outside of the African American experience, you have to think. You have to do your groundwork. You have to do it within the community. So you step outside of the community and you don't do anything. You don't think about it. You just engage. You just going full speed ahead, right? Everything that you said that you hated in black women, you found in the other color queen. And instead of giving it a positive attribution, instead of giving it a negative attribution like you would with black women, you renamed it. You gave it something positive. She's not argumentative. She's passionate. She's not crazy. She just cares a lot. All because she's not a black woman, right? Because you had a terrible experience. Basically, probably, more than likely, which was your fault. But hey, who am I, Why would I implore you to think? Well, it's because we, the people, don't want to be reading your crap stories about how you stepped outside of the racial lines. You did no research, no footwork or anything. And now, her family hates you. You thought she wasn't talking to her family, but she is. They hate you. You can't even go over their house. You got her pregnant, so they hate your kids. Granny called you the N-word. Now you crying to us. But it's too late, buddy. You've already buried yourself. All because you felt that you didn't have to do anything besides find a woman and do what you do with women that you date. You didn't have to do any research because you felt you had the idea that having a different color queen was going to be a completely different experience. Now, the high functioning man, of course, if he decides to step out like that, he's going to do what he needs to do to figure out if she's a viable suitor or not. Weirdness comes out in time. And the high functioning man knows this. The high functioning man knows also not to make any wild commitments like having children extremely early in a relationship, right? Especially when you're stepping outside the color lines. I'm not going to say it's a game, but it's a game. You got to play it right. Some weird things are going down, you got to take off. If she says some stuff, all it takes is a little bit of comfort, right? And then that's when the weird stuff comes out. And once she starts letting those weird tropes out, it's your time to go. There's no debating. There's no discussing. There's no trying to change her mind. Leave. Or, don't leave. Be stuck. Be stuck outside on Thanksgiving and Christmas. And you get weird gifts for Black History Month, or Martin Luther King birthday, or Juneteenth, because they don't fully understand who you are as a black man, as a dashing, tall, handsome, goal-oriented black man. They think you got gold teeth. They just think the weirdest of things about you. And this is going to be your experience because you felt like you just couldn't survive with the home team. And for that, you should be ashamed. But again, love is love. But please, if you're going to go that way, think. Take it slow. Research some more. Please, for the love of everything that's holy, please do your due diligence. Because I promise, you hit us with those bozo stories, those weird occurrences that you could have prevented, we will be laughing. If you've liked this episode, past episodes, and you think you're going to like future episodes, make sure that you follow or subscribe to this podcast wherever you get your podcast from. And as usual, make sure you have a great rest of your day, a great tomorrow, a great day after that, and a great day after that, so on and so on and so on. You've been great. I appreciate you. Is that a new shirt? I like it.